Welcome to VegasVibes Junction, where we explore the captivating lives of extraordinary individuals who shape the pulse of Las Vegas. I'm your host, Esmeralda Padilla Gold. I'm grateful for the support of our viewers on various platforms like Vegas Live TV, WCE TV, BingeNetworks.tv, Pizzazz.tv, HeroGo TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and in my very own website, VegasVibes.us. The city has burst back to life, and we're here to immerse ourselves in the electrifying music, pageantry, and live productions that make Las Vegas the entertainment capital of the world. Today, we have the honor of interviewing Isabella Ivy, a multi-talented soprano and award-winning performing artist with a career spanning decades. Isabella's versatile voice and mesmerizing stage presence have captivated audiences worldwide. She effortlessly navigates genres like opera, jazz, musical theater, and pop, showcasing her remarkable vocal range and artistic depth. As an educator and composer, Isabella's passion for the arts extends beyond her performances, inspiring and nurturing aspiring artists. So my friends, get ready for a remarkable conversation as we delve into Isabella Ivy's world and uncover the experiences and insights that have shaped her illustrious career. In the meantime, hold that remote in a deep freeze until VegasVibes Junction returns. Welcome to our exclusive one-on-one sit-down interview with the remarkable Isabella Ivy. With a career spanning decades, Isabella has established herself as a versatile and award-winning performing artist. Her incredible talent extends beyond the realms of opera as she effortlessly navigates the worlds of jazz, musical theater, and pop music. Whether mesmerizing audiences with her powerful soprano vocals or enchanting them with her soulful jazz renditions, Isabella Ivy consistently captivates and inspires. Not only does she grace the stage as a performer, but she also imparts her knowledge and passion for the arts by teaching voice and voiceover in Las Vegas area and beyond. Today, we delve into the life, experiences, and aspirations of this extraordinary artist as we discover the many facets of Isabella Ivy. Welcome to Vegas Vibes Junction.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful, and you?
Oh, I'm doing great. Just a little nervous.
Hey, don't be nervous. You've been doing this so many times, and you are magnificent on stage, whether you're singing, dancing, and so many other things that you do. But please allow me to express my sincere admiration to your talent. Oh my gosh, you are really amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, let's start off with your background. How did you start singing? Like, Isabella, your repertoire spans across various genres, from opera to jazz to pop. How did you develop such a versatile range, and what draws you to explore different musical styles?
Well, my parents are both musicians and both classical musicians, so I sort of was doomed from the start, you might say.
Doomed?
Doomed from the start. But my brother's actually a classical musician as well, so we just had music surrounding us the entire time as we grow up. And my father's a big fan of Frank Sinatra, so that's sort of where the jazz came in. And he was also a big fan of Christine W., who is a house artist in the 90s and is still performing. She actually lives here. And I fell in love with her voice. I thought she was so cool. I really enjoyed her performances. And so my parents' really diverse taste in music helped me develop the taste in music that I have now, which I would say is pretty wide spanning. I don't really have a specific favorite genre. I have music that I'll listen to, but I'll listen to pretty much anything.
Speaking of doom, anyone would die to have your voice. You are truly amazing.
I appreciate that.
Oh my gosh. You have an impressive list of accomplishments, including performing 22 different roles and being a resident soprano with Opera San Jose. Could you share some of your most memorable experiences from your time on stage?
Oh, sure. I mean, most of my memorable experiences are injuries. I think my most memorable one was at Opera San Jose. I was doing my debut as Gilda, and it was the 4th show, and somebody didn't show up for a sound effect, and my very intelligent self, high on adrenaline, decides it's a great idea to go knock on this door really hard so that the mezzo-soprano can get the cue, so she can come in properly. Yeah, I was so excited. I hit the door hard enough that I partially fractured my wrist. And then I go inside of and then the scene, she gets killed. So the way that they staged the murder was very graphic, right? It works, very graphic. So they throw me on this table, and the mezzo grabs my wrist, and I hear and feel a I'm like, ah! Oh no! Yeah, and so it kind of went, and it fully fractured at that point. I didn't break all the way, fortunately, but I had to finish the show. There was only 25 minutes left of it, so they carried me off stage, and I go backstage, and I'm like, hey guys, I think my wrist is injured real bad. I don't know what to do, and it gets better because then they had to carry me back on stage in a bag, in a burlap sack. But because my arm is injured, I can't put it down right. So when they carried me, the carry was a little off, and when they go to put me down, they drop me on my head. So I'm sitting there dazed going, I'm in a bag with a broken wrist and a migraine. Oh dear.
And that makes it so memorable.
Oh yeah. I can't forget that one. It's definitely a very memorable experience.
That's amazing. As a teacher of voice and voiceover, what do you find most rewarding about guiding and mentoring your aspiring artists?
I mean, I love being part of the journey. I love helping people find ways to create music with joy. I find a lot of the times that classical training especially it can be very rigid and kind of cruel to students growing up in that system. Like, I was lucky for the most part that most of my teachers were really good, but I looked around and saw how some of these people were being treated, and I didn't want to perpetuate that. So part of the reason I became a teacher was to help other people on their journey, with singing, like help them learn technique, but also help them learn some sort of self-confidence and how to stand up for themselves in these scenarios, because it's brutal being an artist.
Yeah, make it a pleasant journey.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly, and try to make it fun for people. We all get so caught up in the art, I think, that we forget that it's supposed to be fun at the end of the day.
Can't be a terror teacher.
No, I don't believe in that.
You're graduating from the prestigious Jacobs School of Music with a master's in opera performance. Mm-hmm. It's a significant achievement.
Yeah.
How has your education further shaped your approach to music and performance?
Well, I got lucky in that my mother, who's a classical musician, is also a music theory professor at UNLV. So I had a great music education growing up because I was around her, and she taught choir, and she did all of the other things. She plays flute. She tried to teach me how to play flute. I was useless, but we all have our skills, right? So I think overall, having that basis of knowledge is really helpful. But I do find that practical real-world experience in the end has been most helpful for me. Like, school was great, and it definitely taught me a lot. But getting out into the real world and going, oh, this is how it really is? Terrifying? Great. That really, I think, helped me the most. But I'm excited about finishing my degree. COVID delayed it for a little bit, so I'm happy to be done. Just one more Italian exam and I'm free.
Nice. Yes, experience is the best teacher.
Yes, it is.
Right, because you can teach anyone something, but if they don't really internalize it, then it would be hard.
Yeah, I mean, and back to the previous question for just a second, another part of the reason I like to teach is because I learn so much when I teach. It's, they say the best way to learn something is to teach it to somebody else, and is that certainly true?
But you know what? It takes a special person to be a good teacher too, because you need to be generous and you need to have it really in your heart, in your soul to.
And I work a lot with people that are with neurodivergence, like people with autism and other mental differences, and things that I also have and struggle with. So I especially like to work with those kinds of clients and people, because I understand what it's like to have a brain that works a little different sometimes. So I find that rewarding as well.
You mentioned struggles. What do you struggle with?
Oh God, so many things. Doing my laundry.
It doesn't show.
So it's funny. I'm a lot better now, but when I was younger, I would really struggle to get work done because I have ADHD. So what people think, they're like, oh, you're just lazy. It's like, no, your dopamine gets made and then it gets lost. So you don't have.
You lose your focus?
Oh, very, very easily. And I'm very inattentive sometimes.
But you pay attention to details.
Oh, yes. But that's the thing, too. I am also on the autism spectrum. So having both means I kind of sit the line between the two sometimes. It's much better now as an adult because I know myself and I know my brain. But as a kid, I was picked on horribly because they just, they're just different, weird. So.
Well, I must say you hide it well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
We understand that you're currently working on writing an opera. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us more about this project and what inspired you to venture into composing?
Absolutely. So I've been composing for a little while. I wrote songs when I was a kid, and they were terrible because I was a kid, but I always enjoyed it and thought it was fun. And they make you write a lot of music in college for music theory class. It's nothing, special, but they teach you how to learn the rules so you can break the rules. And this particular project came around because I read about something called aqua tofana, which was a mythical poison, really. But there was these women in the 1600s that, when the Catholic Church made divorce illegal, they said, well, these men are terrible, so let's poison them. I'm like, well, that's extreme, but okay. But there's a story about the women who did this and their collaborators and how they were caught and all of that, and I just found it so interesting. So I wrote the play for it, the libretto, and then I started writing the music for it, which I'm still in the process of.
In the midst of the pandemic, you've been dedicated to creating accessible performances. Can you share some of those innovative ways you've found to connect with audiences during this challenging time?
Sure. I think at the beginning of the pandemic, I was talking to my friends that run Opera on Tap. It's a community organization that brings opera to strange spaces, so we'd go and sing in bars. Obviously, during the early parts of COVID, we were not doing that. So we all got together and said, well, hey, let's do a opera. Let's do it Vegas themed. And Isabella, would you write the libretto for this? Make this one show. It's called the Impresario in English. It's a Mozart opera. It's really short. Make this show adaptable for us and figure out a way to incorporate as many of our singers as possible. So I said, okay, sure, I'll try that. So I wrote a little play for us that goes with the music, because in that opera, that's actually what happens. It's called a Singspiele, which means you're singing, and it's a singing play, so there's spoken word and there's singing. So we did it all on Zoom. We recorded our parts on Zoom. I helped edit a lot of the audio for my stuff, and then the husband of the woman who runs Opera on Tap is a professional AV guy who's amazing, Kirkin Studios, shout out. And he did all of the rest of the editing for us and put it together, and it was really fun. And so we did things like that. We did outreach concerts for kids, just over Zoom. When it got a little safer, we started doing outdoor shows at parks and stuff like that, just so that people could have a chance to gather safely and still enjoy music.
And I know personally that you donate your time, effort, and treasures to do fundraising events.
Yeah, it's really important to me to give back to the community, especially considering how much has been given to me in my life. I think it's really important for me to show some of that generosity back as much as I can.
I'm really happy to know that you are very generous, kind, and giving.
I think that if you go through a lot of hardship in life when you're younger, you either end up very bitter or you end up very kind. And I fortunately ended up the second way.
I'm glad you took the positive route.
Me too. I can thank my parents for that. They're like, okay, you're getting a little uncomfortable now. Can you fix this?
Oh, thank you. Thank God
Thanks,
that
Mom.
you have a wonderful parents.
Yeah, my parents are great.
Apart from your musical endeavors, you've also composed art, songs, and written libretti. Could you discuss your creative process and the inspiration behind your original composition?
Sure. One that comes to mind is right during the pandemic. One of my very dearest friends at Jacobs, he had to move back to Mexico. And I was a little in love with him. So I felt very heartbroken. And so I wrote him a poem, and then I wrote it into a song. And I sent it to him. I was like, hey, I wrote this for you, just so you know. I hope you have a good life. Bye. I'll probably never get to see you again. And we're still friends, on the internet, and have long since moved past that. But things like that, like love, when I'm feeling a strong emotion, I tend to feel inspired to create. I'm trying to be a little more disciplined and just do it regularly rather than rely on inspiration, because if you do that, you don't get as much work done. And so that's one of the things that I think that I'm working on myself, is just being a little more disciplined with creation.
I think, if anything, heartbreaks makes you do more.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I made the best stuff when I'm sad. But I'm not sad very often, which is a good thing. But I'm also like, well, I guess I'm not writing until I'm sad again. So I'm working on that.
Well, I hope that guy, I don't know what happened to him.
He's a very successful opera singer now. He has a beautiful girlfriend. He's fine. He's very happy.
But you yourself, you're not. I mean, you're in a relationship.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm engaged now, yeah.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
What a lucky guy.
Yeah, my partner's wonderful.
Yes. Well, he better be.
You know, right? No, I'm the lucky one, believe me. He's a great person.
I think you're equally lucky.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that.
You've released an album of jazz songs and even fronted your own band called Easy and the Beats. What drew you to explore jazz music, and how does it differ from your experiences in other genres?
Well, so my dad, again, he really loved Frank Sinatra, and that sort of was the gateway drug, if you will, into other types of jazz. And then in high school, we did something called jazz choir. So I got to try singing jazz in a group setting. And they also made us learn solos, and that's where I learned that I'm actually really good at improvising. And that's a big part of jazz, is making up music on the spot, like it's called scatting for singers. And I learned that I was really good at it, and I loved the music, and the style was really fun for me to sing. And I'm lucky in that I'm able to change and transition my styles fairly quickly. It's a difficult thing to do for all singers, and even for me. There's sometimes where I'm like, wait a minute, this is an opera, calm down. But yeah, so jazz choir, and my dad, and just being around beautiful jazz music my whole life has really helped me get an understanding of the style, but also find a genre of music that I really love. And it's just so much more relaxed, I think, than some of the other forms of music, especially classical music. It's very chill. It's all, it's just very fun, you know?
Well, what's your ritual? Like, do you vocalize every day?
Oh yeah.
How do you take care of your voice?
I at least do 15 minutes of singing a day, even if I'm not feeling up to singing a lot, or if I'm sick, I obviously take a break. But I usually do 15 minutes of vocal warm-up, kind of informed by what I have to do that day. If I have a big show or something, I'll do more, and I'll test the voice and see where it's going. And I try to I don't have much of a social life because I am trying to keep my voice safe. Well, I work a lot, and my work is sort of going out sometimes and performing, and everyone's like, well, you look like you're having fun. I'm like, I am tired. I am having fun. I also want to go see my cat. So I try to preserve my energy where I can, and I don't go out a ton. I don't, go to loud concerts or anything like that. I'm trying to save my voice as much as possible because I also do voiceovers. So if I'm going to be using my voice most of the day, I need to really be taking care of it.
Exactly, because that's your...
It's my baby.
You're right.
But it's also my job.
Yes. Throughout your career, you've been recognized for your excellence as a musician, writer, scholar, and artist. How do these different aspects of your identity influence and complement each other?
Well, I think that they're all sort of intrinsically linked. I definitely don't think I would have been as good of a musician if I wasn't a good student, and vice versa. The tendency to achieve, I'm trying to figure out the way that I want to phrase it, but there's a drive to do well, and I think that kind of is the thing that connects everything, because I like to try a lot of new things, and even when I'm terrible at it, I still want to get better. And I think that applies to everything except for math. I tried, I promise. I'm okay at it, I'm not great. But I do costumes as well. And the reason I got into costuming, for example, was because I loved the opera costumes that I saw on stage and wanted to make them for myself. Or I would see a fashion designer and think, I could do that in 10 years with a lot of practice. But I'm dedicated to trying and keeping on. So I try resilience. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm a very resilient person when it comes to what I'm interested in.
And continuous learning.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
I'm really impressed because you do your own costumes and you do costumes for other people as well.
Yeah, I really like making costumes. It's fun. It's kind of my hobby, but it's also now kind of my job. And I make costumes for a lot of performers in the state and a few out of state, actually. I've gotten some out of state work now too. And it's just fun. My house is a disaster. It's called the Fabric Palace now. I had a friend come over and go, your house looks right for you. It's the Fabric Palace, so that's what I'm calling it.
Sounds a lot of fun.
It's crazy.
Throughout your journey as a performer and educator, have you encountered any significant obstacles or moments of self-doubt? How did you overcome them, and what lessons did you learn along the way?
Well, so my biggest obstacle is a really tough one. When I was at Opera San Jose, there was a person in the artistic administrative staff who was very cruel, and he wanted to get rid of me. So he told the entire...
How could he?
He told the entire staff that I had extorted him for a contract, and falsely accused me of a felony. So I had to defend myself in court, and I won because it was fake, but he'd already wrecked my career.
Oh.
So he took because it was 2006. In 2006, I was like one of the young up-and-coming sopranos. I was doing really well. And then all of a sudden, that just kind of came crashing down. And my career was gone. I couldn't get a gig. I couldn't get an audition because everybody believed him, even though I'd gone to court and proven it wasn't true. So, and then unfortunately, I got injured really badly. I had a injury in my abdominals, so I was having struggling with singing too. So I had to take some time off, and I know that it all sounds really, really bad, but one of the bright sides is because of that, I went to Jacobs. I wouldn't have gone to IU if it hadn't been for that experience. I wouldn't have started dancing if it hadn't been for that experience, and I wouldn't have met my fiance because I never would have gone those places if I hadn't had that experience, you know? So there's still silver linings even to really rough situations like that.
Well, as they say, things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you don't like that in the moment, though.
But at least you're okay now.
Yeah, no, I'm
And you
doing
have
a lot
proven
better.
yourself innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It was really quick. It was really quick. Honestly, the judge looked at it and went, "This is nonsense."
This is ridiculous. Yeah.
Threw it right out.
I'm glad you're
Yeah,
okay now.
me too.
In your teaching role, how do you inspire and nurture creativity in your students? How do you encourage them to find their unique voice and express themselves authentically through music?
Well, I like to have my students look up a lot of references for people that they like, and I tell them to write something down about what they like about that person. I'm like, well, okay, if you like this singer, why do you like them? What parts of their voice, what parts of their performance are you attracted to? What do you think is really fun and interesting? Do you have those qualities in yourself, or can you find those qualities in yourself? And I don't mean as in a form of imitation, but if you admire that in somebody else, like if I really like somebody's stage presence, that's something that I can learn for myself. Emulate. Yeah, exactly. So emulate, not imitate. So I try to teach my students how to emulate traits that they admire, but make them their own. Because I feel like that little spark of self is what makes really, truly great artists interesting. If everybody's a copycat, it's boring, right? So while there's absolutely value in learning to copy, because that's how you learn to create yourself, I always try to foster a sense of good self-worth and like trust in their own creative process.
Yeah, someone told me even a mentor needs a mentor.
Oh, absolutely. I still take voice lessons.
Right.
Like I touch in once a month with my teacher just so that I can make sure I'm not doing anything crazy.
Yes, and you learn from the best.
Absolutely.
Lastly, what are your aspirations and goals for the future? Are there any dream projects or collaborations you would love to pursue in the coming years?
Oh God, there's so many things I want to do in such a short span of time we are granted. But I would love to sing at the major opera houses. I think that would be really fun. I'd also really like to sing with Lizzo. I know that sounds wild, but I mean, she's a classical flute goddess, and I admire her so much. It's really cool to see somebody from the classical sphere transfer over and do all that work. So I would love to sing with her. I don't know, there's just so much I want to do with my life. I like to sing headlining at the Strip. That would be really great. My current show is, you know, a little different. So, and it's not all, it's like, it's on the Strip, it's not on the Strip, you know what I mean? So I would love to do that. And also just be happy. I think being happy is something that's a little underrated in the arts community. We feel like we have to give up our whole lives to be a high achiever, and I don't think that's necessary, you know?
I think when you're a musician or a performer, you're naturally a people pleaser.
Yeah, absolutely. I think my favorite word now is no. I've learned this over time, but setting boundaries is really important for musicians too, because our time is valuable, and people like to underpay us. So
Right.
you know, learning your own worth is, I think, a big thing, and that was one of my goals that I have actually achieved.
Please invite everyone. Where can people find you and all the amazing things that you do?
Well, you can find me on the internet at my website, which is www.isabellaivy.com. You can find me at Instagram at the Isabella Ivy or Isabella Ivy Soprano. I have a residency in a burlesque show where I'm singing at the Strip on the Oyo Casino and various places around town and around the country. It just kind of depends, but you can find my schedule online.
Miss Isabella Ivy, I truly admire you and everything that you do. You are amazing.
Oh,
And I
thank
wish
you.
you the best in your current and future endeavors.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for asking me here today.
It's a pleasure having
Yeah.
you. It's truly an honor. Join me again next time as we continue our journey into the captivating world of Las Vegas and the extraordinary individuals who make this city shine. As we conclude this episode of Vegas Vibes Junction, I extend my deepest gratitude to all of you for joining us on this incredible journey. I hope these stories have filled your hearts with joy and inspiration. Join me next week on the fabulous Vegas Vibes Junction channel for another unforgettable experience together. Remember, Las Vegas is more than just its iconic strip and bustling downtown. It's a city brimming with genuine people and captivating stories. If you're a part of Las Vegas's vibrant scene and want to share your inspiring story, reach out to me at VegasVibesJunction@gmail.com. Let's feature you right here on Vegas Vibes Junction, whether in our studios or through an exciting online Zoom interview. Before we say goodbye, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our incredible wardrobe sponsor, Anne Fontaine, located at the Forum Shops of Caesar's Palace. Experience her impeccable style and sophistication by booking an appointment with Miss Anna Billings at 702-733-6205. An extraordinary world of fashion awaits you at Anne Fontaine. And now it's time for my favorite segment, the Vegas Vibes Closet. Get ready to indulge in beauty and empower your inner glam with Vegas Vibes Cosmetics. Our lipsticks deliver exceptional color payoff, long-lasting wear, and a luxurious feel. Whether you're seeking a bold red for a night out or a subtle nude for everyday elegance, Vegas Vibes Cosmetics has the perfect shade to complement your unique style. Stay tuned to Vegas Vibes Junction and follow our social media channels for exciting updates and exclusive offers on Vegas Vibes Cosmetics. Elevate your beauty game with our fabulous lipsticks and embrace the spirit and glamour of Las Vegas. Don't forget to follow Vegas Vibes Junction on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram for the latest updates, announcements, and behind-the-scenes moments. Visit our website, vegasvibes.us, for more information and captivating content. Join our vibrant community and be a part of Vegas Vibes Junction experience. Thank you once again for joining me on this exciting episode of Vegas Vibes Junction. Stay fabulous, keep spreading those Vegas vibes, and remember to always embrace the pulse of Las Vegas. I'm Esmeralda Padilla Gold. Thank you for watching. Mwah!